If you are feeling like the path is dark and you can't see the way, you're not alone. Welcome to the new moon in Shravana Nakshatra. Shravana is a very interesting energy, but it's a very tricky energy if you're not used to it. It is probably the most spiritual kind of energy, and that is because you are the most receptive. So if you're not used to Shravana energy, the next 2 weeks may be very weird for you. So I'll tell you what to expect. Shravana is the pathwalker, and the words to describe the nakshatra are: the experienced perceiver needs to inquire to establish a path. The symbol of it is an ear, and the purpose of it is receptivity. So this is how it looks for somebody who's on a spiritual path. Before you're on your path, you are living in the material world. When you come onto the path, you begin to experience the divine. You begin to experience communication with other dimensions, with ancestors, with nature, through your dreams. But there comes this language, and it's something that you need to learn. And so Shravana is about learning that language. And it's about the discomfort in learning that language, but being entirely receptive to that language. Shravana is ruled by the moon, and so it is a very internal energy. The deity is Vishnu, and Vishnu is the essence which pervades all things. Because Vishnu is in all things, the essence of Vishnu pervades all things. So in learning this other language and being entirely receptive to otherworldly communications, we begin to understand and communicate with the essence of all things. And thus in Shravana, you learn the interconnectedness of all things. The Shakti, the energy, is providing connection. So from above, we're impelled to see the connection among all things. And then below, on the earth, by seeing all things, we begin to see the path. And thus, we have to listen clearly to be able to discern the path. When we learn to listen clearly, and by listen, I mean, you're watching something happen, and your bias is no longer there because you have right understanding. So you understand what it is that you're seeing without the attachment to what you want to see getting in the way. So you're becoming a pure vessel for receptivity. And developing this ability includes creating situations or situations being presented to us that allow us to practice and refine this skill. It's driven by Artha, this very goal-oriented, purpose-driven energy that seeks to understand because we want to achieve something. We want to, at a deep level, understand the nature of our own pursuits and the meaning of our own experiences and how these things are connected and where they are going. And by developing this language of otherworldly communication, being able to interpret our dreams, we come to develop a level of awareness that allows us the consciousness to see and really understand how all things are connected. So countries aren't just countries. All of a sudden, it's a system of countries. A dynamic is not just a dynamic. It is a system of dynamics. We see how a person, a family, a community, a group, a nation, we see how everything moves together. And even with nature, it's not that something is good or bad. It's not about assigning value to something. It's right or wrong. You just begin to see how they move together. And in so doing, you begin to see the interconnectedness of things, and you begin to understand how touching of one thing affects something else. And then you begin to see how your life and your experiences contribute to that. And what you do in the world also contributes to the dynamic of the way things move. The next step of this is looking at yourself and understanding your own experiences and your own talents and putting those things together and seeing then the creature that you are, the being that you are, and how the system of you contributes to the outer world. When you start to speak the language of the universe, it has a lot to say. And so when these different avenues of communication become open, it's really overwhelming. So the cripples of Vishnu are acquiring ideas from above. So all of the ideas that you get through this communication, through the divine coming through all of these different channels, is crippling because, oh my God, what will you do with it now? So that's the part from above. And so below is choosing a path. What are you actually going to do with this information? So it brings us back. If you're feeling like the path is unclear, that's what's going on. A little bit more about this energy. Shravana is a Deva Nakshatra, and Deva is a fallen angel. So it's the energy of you have come to earth and you have a mission to do, but you might not know what that is. You're just driven to do it without any external validation for it, but you know you need to do it. Nobody else knows anything about this, but you still have this to do. It's pretty isolating. I'm laughing, but it's extremely isolating. Also, the rest of the energy, right? So it's the nakshatra is ruled by moon. Moon is the most receptive. So moon is your emotions, but moon is high priestess energy. It's all of the knowledge available to you, but it comes through your intuition. This is Shravana. So that sense of mission, that's the male, that's the assertive nature of it. And it's artha-driven, so you have this purpose, but at the same time, and it's Brahma, which means you're looking to create something, and it's upward facing. So what you're looking to create is to improve upon a situation, and you have all of this information that's coming at you, but nobody understands it. Nobody understands what you're doing. Nobody understands what your mission is. And the energy doesn't work if you go after something because it's passive. It has to do with the moon. So although you feel the strong sense of purpose, like you really want to go create something, it won't work like that. So over the next 2 weeks, you work behind the scenes. You set up what you need to set up. And what is yours is never not going to be yours. At this point in your path, if something doesn't work out, it wasn't yours. It wasn't coming to you. Because what is yours is coming to you. It's like a tidal wave that's on the way. There comes a point you can't stop it. It's coming. That's what it is. So the fact that it's not here yet at this moment, that's fine. Because again, the nature of this energy is it is very non-linear. So you're walking in the world that tells you if you do this step, then this step, then this step, then by step 10, you should be here. It doesn't apply when you're doing spiritual work, and it doesn't apply when you have a spiritual path. These things are on their own time. These things are on divine time, and they are always in the perfect time. So when you're over the next 2 weeks feeling the sense to push, resist, because the energy works better in the passive way. You let it come through you. Shravana is also dhatu, mineral. So think like a rock, and support, how strong it is. This energy is always looking for support. Keep in mind the Deva nature of it. You have this mission to do, you have this work to do, and you want somebody to support you. You want somebody to validate you. You want somebody to help you. You want somebody to tell you that you're doing the right thing. But nobody can do that because they don't see what you see. They don't know what you know. They don't get the messages that you get. And if you try to tell them, you will sound crazy. That doesn't mean that what you get isn't what you get. It means it's for you. It doesn't translate to other people necessarily. So the point of the energy when you're seeking this validation from the outside is it's not coming. Don't even look for it. It's not coming. You need to support yourself. When you become clear what your energy is, what your mission is, what your work is, you'll stop asking people to be okay with it because you know where it's coming from. I mean, you'll argue with the angels talking to you. You'll tell your intuition it's wrong. when the divine is speaking to you, speaking through you, you're like, you're gonna, who can validate that? You can validate, you know it's happening, and it's beyond what, it's beyond outside people being okay with it or not. If what you're doing is for humanity and what you're doing is to put people in a better place, and you know the work you're doing, nobody can tell, who can help you? Who can help you? Other people like you who understand it. So my point, over the next couple of weeks, if things aren't going in this linear direction and you want somebody to make you feel better, it's not coming. Don't even look for it. Somebody might try their best because they love you, but they can't validate what they don't know. They can't validate what only you have experienced, because it's your path and it's your path to walk and it's your work to do. And it doesn't mean because somebody else can't validate it, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that they don't know what you know. So Shravana is the energy of connecting, striking together, destroying, making solid, robust, and harmony. It's the Shakti of all of these things. The Shakti is like, this is the energy. This is what it's going after. And probably the best way to show you this is through some tarot cards. So this one is the Tower, and this one is the Empress. Okay, so connection, striking together, destroying, making solid. How does this stuff work together? It works together through Capricorn and Saturn. Remember, if you were putting this energy into the zodiac, it falls in Capricorn. So we're still under Capricorn energy, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So Capricorn is your reality check. Saturn as a planet is cold, and it will limit you. And it's not here to make you feel nice. It's here to work. And it's here to make sure you work. So it's the stark reality of what you're looking at. The limitations, the restrictions, but also the parameters. So, for example, when you're getting all of this information, Saturn will set the parameters and say, can't do anything with that, can't do anything with that. Here's what you have to work with. So instead of it being 4 million things, maybe it will be 6 parameters. Saturn, it's useful. So Saturn gives you the structure. And Capricorn, the reality check, again, what can I do with all of these things? Maybe nothing. This is what you can work with. The place of Saturn in Vedic is rubbish. It's where rubbish is. So it cleans things up. So again, when we think Saturn and we think limitations, it cleans things up. So instead of the 4 million different things, you have 6. So it cleaned up all that space. You don't even have to take your time thinking about these things. And it goes the same with people. It goes the same with communications. It goes the same with activities. You don't need any of these. You need these things. This is going to help you on your work. All right, so go back to listening. There are so many ways to listen, and there are so many ways to take in information. And there are so many ways to learn about a situation. Remember, Capricorn, your reality check. Shravana, you have so much information coming at you. And Saturn, we're going to limit this. So, what people say is one way to take information. What people don't say is another way. How people behave, what their patterns are with you, what they say they're going to do versus what they actually do. You see, there are many different ways that you can pay attention to things. Things that, for example, if somebody said, this is going to happen and this didn't happen, you can think about it and, you can be in love with the structure that you build in your head, but Saturn is not going to let you do that. Saturn is going to set the limitations, and Capricorn is your reality check. That's not happening. So remember, we have Mercury retrograding in Capricorn now still. So what people are saying, Watch, pay attention. This is how you take in the information. The moon is receptive, so you're taking in all the information. Saturn is your structure, and it's how you process the information. So this is Shravana. And when you do this successfully, Saturn rewards you. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the work, you have to put in the effort, and you have to demonstrate the discernment. And when you do that, you have these things to focus on. You do them, and Saturn will reward you. So let's go back to Vishnu. Vishnu is the part of God that permeates all things. Remember, there's Shiva, which destroys, Brahma, which creates, and then Vishnu, which maintains. So while you are waiting for that thing to work out, be aware of the fact that everything you do is actually a divine act. Everything you do is a practice of your spirituality. And this again, this is Shravana. Remember, you are the vessel. You are the vessel. Everything that is created comes through you. The words you speak, the behaviors that you have, the habits that you have, the actions that you take, you are the vessel. All right, so how you use your mind, how you think about things, the way that you treat people, how you conduct your affairs, whether or not you keep your word when you speak. This is all how the divine works through you. This is how you live your spirituality. So it's not the thing that's going to work out. That's one more piece. That thing is the same as a conversation. Your great work in the world is what you do every day. So that big thing is one thing that you'll do in the day, but it has no more importance or significance than all of the other things that you do during the day. The idea that it does, that is a worldly construct. That is not a spiritual construct. So that's saying God is in the details. Remember, Shravana, you are the vessel for divine knowledge. You are the way that divinity comes into the world. It is through you, your acts. Right? So this is why we strive for cleanliness in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds, in our actual vessel, our body, our nutrition, our diet, our habit, our goals, and our conduct. These are the details of the everyday, and this is actually the way that you live your spirituality. This is when you get your messages. This is how you live your messages. This is like the everyday is really what it is. So again, as you're going through the next 2 weeks and your path seems dark, where you are right now is just as important as any huge thing that you might have in your mind for later. So we keep ourselves clean as vessels so that we can receive information and so that we can transmit information and so that we can walk our path in the purest way possible. And there is divinity in maintaining the cleanliness of your daily activities, of your daily path, of the details that make up your existence. So for example, again, go back to this big thing that's going to happen. And just when this thing happens, then you will really have made it. When this thing happens, then everything's going to be right for you. In the meantime, look at how you behave in the world. Are you magnanimous in one area of your life? And you're wonderful to people and they think so much of you. And then you go talk to somebody who can't do anything for you, and you don't act the same as you do to your audience because they're not really your audience. It doesn't matter. You're magnanimous or you act not great. This is your level. It's the everyday. It's not some big place you're ever going to get. It's the everyday. So what you can do for this new moon is listen. By listen, pay attention to what is going on around you. Pay attention to what is going on in I'll put the houses below where it's going to be affecting you. But remember, the new moon is a dark moon, and it's right next to the sun, so it's going to be in that area. And if you're looking for outside validation, the other end of the wheel, you won't see it because everything's dark right now. Look what's around you. Look at it for the reality that it is. The High Priestess energy. See the pillars, the Guardian, the water, the High Priestess has access to everything. She is a conduit. This is what Shravana energy is. You are a conduit. This is what your next 2 weeks will be, probably really, really receptive. So watch what you are tied to. Can you see the people with the little chains around their necks? That's the world. And that's the world telling you what you should be doing, how it should be going, what your progress should look like. But remember that nobody in the world knows what messages you're getting. Nobody in the world knows what your divine purpose is. Nobody in the world knows what your unique path is. So don't look for them to tell you it's okay, and don't look for them to tell you that you're on the right track, because they don't know your track. You know your track. So Shravana energy, new moon energy, dark moon energy. You go within. For the next 2 weeks, you go within. You may have times when you're feeling incredibly spiritual. You may have times when you are feeling incredibly motivated and driven. You may have times when you're wandering around in the dark. This is all how it goes. But the way that you work with the energy, you set up everything you can do everything you can, but what's coming to you is coming to you. If you don't know the next step, ask for guidance. For sure, during Shravana, you will get guidance, but this is the way to move forward with the energy. Don't fight it. Don't go after it. Let it come to you. And if you need help from anybody, you take help from your guidance. You take help from the divine. You take help from your guides, whoever you work with. Because outside people, they can't help you right now. That said, the very last thing I'll say is remembering the story of the 3 steps with Vishnu. Make a request. Back until present day, really, scholars, magicians, healers, these were people who were supported by society because the work that they did was important. And the work that they did was crucial for advancing society. In the modern day, that type of work is regarded very differently. And so it is valued quite a bit lower. It's not really valued much at all. That does not make it any less valuable. It just means that from the outside, it's not valued. Shravana energy invites you to make a request, just like the king wanted to help the scholar, Vishnu. The same thing. When you're working with this new moon energy, you can stop thinking about the restrictions and the way that you got used to living and the difficult circumstances that you had to endure to get to this point. Because this point, it's like going through a dark tunnel and there's an end to it. It's just dark right now, but there's an end to it. In about 2 weeks, there's an end to it. Ask for what you want on the other side. Ask for the life that you actually want. You know what you've been working toward. You know the work that you've been putting in, and you know how hard it is. No one else is going to tell you that it's okay. No one else is going to tell you that you deserve it. Like, don't look for that support. You know what kind of life you need. And if you're going to continue the work that you're going to do, there are certain material supports that you're going to need in order to make that happen. Ask for these things. Again, it's Saturn. Use a lead pencil. I would highly recommend make a list. I usually burn it, but definitely use lead. Use a pencil. It's not the same if you use a marker or a pen. work with the energy of the planet. So you make your request. Every day you do the details. Every day you do the work, because what you do every day, the process is just like, the process is what's important. You may get somewhere, you may not get somewhere. But you understand, in a spiritual sense, your process, you're always there. And that's the crucial part. That's the important part. That's where you get your points. It's the everyday. So whatever's going to happen, you focus on the now. You focus on the here. So that's the best way to work with the energy. Don't look for outside support. Focus on what you're doing. Maintain the integrity of what you're doing. Maintain the structure of what you're doing. Be receptive to the information that's coming to you from different channels, different messages. I always write it down, always. And watch what's coming, and watch what people do, and watch how people behave, and watch what happens and what doesn't happen. Take in all of that information and give yourself a reality check. Give yourself a stark reality structure for what you're going to deal with. If it's something that's not happening anymore, let it go. Like, something else is coming. It's okay. Let it go. What's yours is always going to be yours. All right, so that's the best way I can see to work with the energy. And if you have stuck around for this long, thank you. I'm very glad for it. And I will be back for the full moon and probably doing like all 12 signs for that one. Take good care.